From the News Channel 5 Network, this is SportsLine.
Hey there, SportsLine on your television. Steve Layman here with you. Glad you are here with us tonight on News Channel 5 Plus. Tons of football to get into. We'll talk some Titans coming off their first win of the season, beating the Raiders on Sunday, 24-22 over there at Nissan Stadium. We'll talk some college football. Massive weekend for a couple schools in the mid-state, or in the state, I should say. Tennessee obviously ending the streak against Florida, getting just its second win against the arch-rival Gators in the last 18 seasons, and really kind of announcing that this team has arrived. Now, I don't think many people out there are fully putting Tennessee into the national championship conversation just yet. I think a lot of people still have Georgia and Alabama ahead of them just within the SEC. But Tennessee's now a top 10 team, and it is legitimately a top 10 team. It's won 2 games against top 25 caliber opponents, one on the road. That is a resume right now that absolutely puts Tennessee where it should be. And it's going to have to play Alabama. It's going to have to play Georgia. And it's going to have to play Kentucky. But to this point, Tennessee looks like one of the best programs in the country. And they're going to get the chance to prove themselves even further out there. But it is amazing how far this program has come in just a year and a half under Josh Heupel. He doesn't have all his guys yet, but he has a transcending quarterback in Hendon Hooker who had 461 total yards and 3 touchdowns against the Gators. He has a wide-open offensive attack that gets a bunch of people involved and is explosive and up-tempo and everything you want, really, in terms of an offense. Defensively, there's some work to be done, especially in the secondary, but Tennessee has done everything you can ask for so far, and that was an incredible environment on Saturday on Rocky Top, and that's exactly what Josh Heupel wants it to look like every single week for his program as they try to continue their ascent to the top of the SEC. And let's not forget about Middle Tennessee. How about the Blue Raiders going on the road as 26.5-point underdogs at number 25 Miami and hanging 45 points and beating the Hurricanes? First top 25 win in school history. And what a big win for Rick Stockstill and his team. And I give them all the credit in the world, because if you remember back just a few short weeks ago, they opened the season on the road at James Madison. It was the first FBS game James Madison ever played. And Middle got slaughtered. It was bad. And as we come to find out, James Madison's pretty good. They've historically been a good FCS program, and they got a team as they start FBS play this year. They're not eligible for the big New Year's Six type stuff, but if they were, they might be the leader in the clubhouse right now, considering what they've done early on in the year. But we didn't know that at the time, and you just watched the game, and it was like, oh my gosh, Middle can't do anything against these guys. Ton of criticism after the game, even from Middle Tennessee fans saying, that's unacceptable, we don't like this, something's got to be better within the program. Well, they just went back as players and coaches, put their heads down and went to work. And look at the results now. Bounce back win at Colorado State on the road. They destroyed TSU. And then they go to Miami and get that win. 3 straight wins for this team. They are absolutely riding high as they start Conference USA play this week. And another test, the defending conference champions, Offensive Player of the Year Frank Harris, and UTSA coming to town on Friday night, which, by the way, is the night the Middle Tennessee will retire the number of Titans safety Kevin Byard, of course, a former Blue Raiders great. Our phone lines are open tonight, 737-7767. We'll get into some Titans talk as well here before we move too much further. Hear from Josh Heupel, Rick Stockstill later on as well. But we want to hear from you, and we begin tonight with Devin. Devin, what's going on? Welcome to SportsLine. Hey, Devin, you're on the air. Go ahead. Devin, are you there? All right. Well, we will try that again. down the road. Again, our phone lines are open. 737-7767 is the number, and we would like to invite you in on the program tonight. Good time for some bye weeks in here. We mentioned Middle Tennessee getting right back at it on Friday night against UTSA. Tennessee gets a much-needed bye here. After playing that schedule that they started with, playing Florida, intense game, emotional game, college game days there, goes down to the wire, final play of the game really. And then next week they go to LSU. This is the perfect time to get a bye. You avoid getting into that gauntlet of SEC play and just getting beat up and having to worry about the attrition game. This should help Tennessee reset before they get LSU and Alabama. And oh, by the way, Tennessee fan, maybe you've complained about the schedule in the past because it really was a murderer's row in October. Not so much this year. At LSU after the bye week, then Alabama. Of course, that's a difficult game. But then you get UT Martin before Georgia. It's a little bit more manageable, or at least as manageable as schedules get in the SEC. Just another thing that helps if you're Josh Heupel and Tennessee. Also a good weekend for Vanderbilt to have a bye because that was their worst performance of the year, obviously. Playing a great team in Alabama, but a very difficult showing down there. A.J. Swan struggled. The offense struggled. You can get his confidence back going. You can kind of get back on track and regroup and get set now as a team that's 3-2. That's better than anybody expected for Vanderbilt up to this point. As a matter of fact, the Vegas line over-under for Vanderbilt wins coming into the season was 2.5. And so they beat that in the first month of the season. Tough loss on Saturday in Tuscaloosa, but a chance to build on what they've already been able to accomplish. It's only going to get tougher with more of these games in the SEC. Well, maybe not tougher than Alabama, but in general, week in and week out, it's going to be more difficult. But there is zero question that Clark Lee and Vanderbilt have taken a significant step from year one to year two. Now, what exactly that step ultimately will prove out to be, we'll see. But they have definitely taken a step in terms of their quality of play. We'll try this one more time, see how it works. Hey, Devin, are you there?
What very Swedish dinner would be.
Doesn't appear so. Okay, so we'll move on from that. Again, our phone lines are open if you would like to get in on the program tonight. We'll talk some Titans here, though, in the meantime. Of course, a big win on Sunday against the Raiders. The offense came out clicking on all cylinders in the first half, scored a season high for points, 24 in the first half. Then they went silent in the second half. It was up to the defense to hold on down the stretch. Dylan Cole, Kevin Byard batting down that two-point conversion pass to preserve the 24-22 win. But when you talk about the offensive success, it's not going to go down as a monster Derrick Henry game. You know, it's not 200-plus yards. It's not 150 or anything like that, like we've so often seen over the last 3 or 4 years. But Derrick Henry was a huge part of the offense on Sunday, both in the running game and the passing game. He rushed for a season-high 85 yards, but he also had 58 yards on a career-high 5 receptions. And that impact, that 143 total yards and the threat of Derrick Henry getting going, I think opened things up for everybody else. And in that first half, we saw the Titans offense at the best that it has been all season long. Here was Keith Bullock, former Titan great, and myself on the local power companies of Middle Tennessee Sunday Sports Central, breaking down the offense and also the defense and what he saw defensively in some key moments on Sunday that helped them win this game. Time for Bullock's breakdown here at the Smart Screen. King Henry had just 13 carries for 25 yards on Monday in Buffalo, and Todd Downing made a concerted effort to get him the ball on Sunday, starting in the passing game.
Yeah, I know that it's important to get Derrick Henry the ball. Obviously, you hand him the ball a lot, but I think it was great that they tried other ways. Get him out in space early in the game. Get him comfortable. Let him get running up north and south, something that he hasn't done much at all this year. Second play of the game, they come out with that. It's been obviously talked about Derek getting in the pass game. Derek makes a concentrated effort to get out in the route and get that conversion. Now that opens up the running game. Now you see they're doing what they love to do, and that's pounded inside. Derek's finding those running lanes where he's able to get those chunks of yardage. And right here, you see he still has that burst. It's just that he hasn't been able to get out in open space to utilize that burst. And I think that was great early in the game. It gave the offense momentum, and it gave them confidence that they can continue to run their game plan. Derek had a lot to do in the pass game today. I think he had over 140 total yards offense combined. So I like to see that they're getting that guy going because he's the key to their offense.
Well, they certainly did in both phases. As for the defense, they gave up nearly 400 yards, but they did not break. They forced 3 field goals and an interception on 6 Raiders trips to the red zone.
Yeah, I've been on defenses that bend but don't break, and it's red zone defense is where you have to be key. If you're a defense that's porous, meaning you can't stop the run or can't stop the pass, even though they get in the red zone, that doesn't mean that they have to score. So that's where you see the pass rush stiffen up. You see the DBs competing, making opportunistic plays. Right here, this is 3rd and 3. That's big. If that pass is knocked down, the Raiders probably kick a field goal, and they won't have to go for the 2-point conversion. And right here, I like to see the young DBs competing when it counts most. End of the game, Christian Fulton out there making a play, competing. Look, you said 400 yards. The Raiders had a ton of weapons, and for as much yards as the Raiders got, I think the Titans did great in the red zone, 2 for 6, getting off the field when they needed to, and winning the game ultimately.
At the end of the day, it's points. They're the only thing that matter, and the Titans defense kept a bunch of points off the board. It really is about bending but not breaking in the NFL. It is all about the quarterbacks. It's all about the offense, at least in most occasions. And so if you're a defensive team, you can't expect to pitch shutouts. You can't expect to be dominant every week. But if you can hold teams to field goals, if you can get off the field on 3rd down, if you can create some turnovers, it gives yourself an opportunity to win. And the Titans did that defensively Sunday. The numbers won't be pretty. Nearly 400 yards offense, 300 yards passing, but they made some plays when they needed to, and it helped preserve the win. You also saw there at the end of that last clip about the defensive backs, Christian Fulton making a terrific play in the end zone to deny Mac Hollins of a would-be touchdown there in the late goings of the 4th quarter. Christian Fulton was awesome. The secondary as a whole had some issues. Certainly Terrence Mitchell had a welcome to Tennessee moment, being out there just a few days after signing with the team, and he was victimized by Hollins a lot in Mac Hollins' career day. But Christian Fulton did a tremendous job. He had 6 tackles, 3 of those were solos, 2 of them were tackles for loss. He came up against the run. He had that huge pass deflection in the end zone against Mac Hollins, and he limited Devontae Adams to just 5 catches for 36 yards on the day, and he wasn't on him for some of those. Mike Vrabel said last night on his coach's show that Christian Fulton played his best game as a Titan last night. And we got a chance to talk to Fulton today, and he kind of echoed that. He thought he had his most well-rounded game as a Titan. But he also said he's just grown in confidence to the point that he believes that he's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. And the standard for him now is every single week to go out and perform like that. And the Titans need him to perform like that because right now they're struggling. Roger McCreary's 3 games into his NFL career. He's having to play different positions. He's working his way up to speed. Caleb Farley isn't on the field. Terrence Mitchell's been here for 6 days. It's a struggle right now. Elijah Molden's still out hurt. The cornerback position is a struggle, but Christian Fulton is a rock that they can count on. They certainly missed him when he couldn't play in Buffalo in week 2. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More of your phone calls, 737-7767, the number. And we'll hear from Mike Vrabel and some of the Titans as well, coming off that win against the Raiders in week number 3. This is SportsLine on News Channel 5+.